So I don't know if you've heard, but I really like Golden Sun.
Oh yeah, turns out you can't keep me away forever. One way or another, I'll keep crawling back. What can I say about this series other than the fact that I just love it and I want to find new ways to praise it? I've talked about all the games and what might hopefully be the future for the series. So instead, let's go into something I certainly haven't given the attention it deserves. The music. Motoi Sakuraba is the man behind the synthesizer for this eclectic score. Many probably recognize his work most readily as the primary composer for the Tales of series, although he's written music for many games, from Mario Golf to Dark Souls. Now that is quite the musical range. But if you ask me, Golden Sun is Sakuraba's magnum opus, capturing a wide scope of locations and events perfectly.
So just for fun today, we're going over my top 10 favorite Golden Sun songs. How about that?
It should go without saying, but this list was freaking tough. Like, each game individually is deserving of their own top 10s, but compromises needed to be made. Consider every song that I don't talk about today as an honorable mention, because Golden Sun's soundtrack is just that good. Now, I'm not very well versed in music theory, and can be pretty tone-deaf in general, so describing why I like certain musical pieces can be quite the challenge. However, the power of music for me comes down to context and how it's used. That much is way closer to my wheelhouse. So with all three of these games, what are my favorite songs? This song appears in quite a few places throughout the first Golden Sun, although the namesake is attributed to the game's optional dungeon, Crossbone Isle. This song signifies a harder than average trial for our protagonists. Dungeons with puzzles that come across more as man-made and curated. At the very least, it is more foreboding than the average cave, which demands more caution and consideration. It builds tension, but not enough to feel oppressing, and frankly, the melody itself is just catchy. If I head inside a cavern and I hear this song playing, I know I'm in for a treat. Golden Sun has more than a few regular battle themes, and they are all stellar. In fact, they're probably recognizable even to people who aren't Golden Sun fans. But as iconic as they are, I just find myself preferring Jenna's battle theme the most. Now you might be thinking, oh, you just like Jenna's battle theme the most because you think she's cute. But that's not true, I do actually have some reasons to why I think so. Jenna's battle theme just has a cheerful energy to it. It's more playful than one might expect from a normal battle theme, but it does charge me up all the same. It's bouncy and fun, like a dancing candle flame, which is very appropriate, as Jenna's elemental affinity is fire. And because I think she's cute! So chalk it up to bias if you want, but either way, I still love Jenna's battle theme. And while I can't always leave my boys Felix and Isaac out of the party, I don't mind making a few exceptions when I want to have a little bit more fun during some battles. Playing The Lost Age for the first time, I was actually a little confused about what was going to be the fate for the original party from the first Golden Sun. Sure, you were asked if you want to transfer data over at the start, but if anything was going to happen, it sure took its sweet time. I was kind of doubting if the two groups would ever join forces, but after being teased and built up for so long, at the very tail end of the journey, Felix and Isaac finally come together, and when they do, the song for Waird's world map changes one last time, as they both start walking forward with determination. This is a fan favorite song for no shortage of reasons, but what I like most about it is the feeling of finality to it. After all, this song only plays in the last 20% of the game, but at this point, the world feels like it truly opens up to you. Your boat has now been fully upgraded into an airship. It makes traversing around the world that much easier. And there are even more secrets to find now that you have access to Isaac's synergy. But no matter which way you look at it, it marks a very special moment in the game. Although there's something about this song that's just really familiar, and I can't put my finger on it. Oh wait, never mind, I figured it out! Spoilers for the rest of this list, This is the one and only song from Dark Dawn to get featured. Like I said earlier, the competition for this list is just that fierce, and overall, the soundtrack for the GBA games left a far greater impression. That being said, the standout songs from Dark Dawn make one hell of an impression. New Beginning only plays around the first few areas of the game, in particular the Goma Plateau where the game starts. As the title of this song implies, it is a new beginning, marking the first real adventure that Matthew will undertake. While the initial objective of their mission is fairly low stakes, it probably still seems like a really huge deal to these characters. This is presumably the first time Matthew and Tyrell have ever been away from their fathers for an extended period of time, and their journey will take them to the farthest corner of the world. Maybe a standard side quest routine for any average JRPG fan, but these are young adults barely old enough to fight and will one day have to fill their parents' extraordinary shoes. This is their first step towards all of that. It's also one of the most grand-feeling songs in the entire game, even the entire series for that matter. While people certainly have opinions on the rest of Dark Dawn, at the very least I felt that New Beginning set the tone for a really special adventure that was to come. This song is first introduced alongside the legendary MacGuffins of the same name. However, it has also been used during times of reflection for the main crew, often being when they failed to carry out their primary mission, seeing the lighthouses being ignited. It's a song not often used in the games, but it comes up every moment it needs to and gives it a perfectly implemented feel. And maybe I'm crazy, but when I listen to this song, I can almost hear the four primary elements in this music. The bass line almost sounds like raindrops landing on a pond of water. When the pan flute comes in to introduce the core melody, it feels like the wind itself is blowing. The oboe echoes of lands swept by a scorching heat. The choir comes in with quaking vibrations of the earth. And the flute that comes in the second half of the song brings every element together and gives it cohesion. The elemental stars really can't be described as anything else but ethereal. It gives off the feeling of being beyond understanding. It's simply one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in a video game. A song evoking such power and invigoration. I remember thinking at the exact moment I heard this song for the first time, oh man, if they went this hard on this one dungeon in the middle of the game, imagine what they'll do for the final dungeon! Turns out this was the final dungeon. I was slightly miffed when I found that one out. But I've talked about the ending of Golden Sun before, and that's not really that important now. Since this is the final dungeon, it was a dang good one to go out on. The tower itself is already very memorable, feeling like a winding gauntlet of puzzles. But this time, you're well prepared for the challenge ahead of you. It's time to prove this whole journey wasn't for nothing. And the blaring horns almost make it sound as if the melody itself is cheering you on. I don't have much to say, but what do we really need to say? There's no question in my mind that Venus Lighthouse is one of the best final dungeons in any game I played, and the song is a big part of that. I spoke pretty in depth about why I love the Saturos boss fight in my original Golden Sun video, and that experience paired with the music made this whole sequence so engaging. Saturos is one of the tougher boss fights in the original Golden Sun, and to match, he has a song unique to him. While the normal boss theme has this intense feeling of dread, Saturos has a much faster tempo to back him up, emphasizing how you really need to be on your toes when facing off with him. Especially if you came to this fight way earlier than you should have, like I did, then this boss demands you strategize as much as possible. That whole experience made it a personal favorite fight of mine. And thankfully, this song has also reappeared in the other two Golden Sun games for some of their own super bosses. While it was probably written specifically for Saturos, I would argue that it almost works better for the context of a super boss theme. And if more Golden Sun games get made in the future, then it would be really cool to see this song return in that same form, as a traditional through line for the series. I mean, the song's too good not to bring back anyway. While Isaac and crew have Saturos and Minardi to add tension to their story, Felix has some oversight in the form of Agatio and Karst. I've always felt these two have sort of an unfair rap against them. They're often described as the worst antagonists from Golden Sun. Frankly, they are kinda stupid, but I think they act mostly within reason. Maybe I'm just an Agatio and Karst apologist. I mean, it's hard to be so mad at what they do when they're also my favorite boss fight in the series. Similar to Saturos, the story context for the initiation of this fight is most the reason the song is so memorable to me. It's one of the most mechanically unique boss battles for the entire series, as you only start with 2 of your party members. Now you're missing half your strategic options. That's a bit of a problem. Thankfully, if you manage to hold out, the absent party members will come back to your aid one by one, making it feel like you finally have a chance. And despite slowly getting your party back at full strength, Agatio and Karst only seem to get more ferocious. And boy does this fight get hard. I was fortunate enough to not wipe during this battle, but I came close so many times. It really felt like I had to use every option at my disposal. But that's not the only reason I love this theme. It's the context paired with the composition. The battle song is an arrangement of their normal character theme. But for the battle, the tempo is drastically increased, and it goes way harder on the percussion to back it up. It's so much more intense here, perfectly matching the desperate struggle these 2 parties have going against each other. It's my favorite boss battle in the series for a reason. I always develop a strong attachment to the first towns within an RPG. A big part of that connection often comes from the music. It's composed with the purpose of feeling like home. This is the place you can always return to whenever you need to feel safe. Perhaps it's here you might reflect on what could have been if the world never needed to be saved. Unfortunately, Vale is no stranger to tragedy, and its safety continues to be put in jeopardy as the story goes on. But what if none of that ever happened? Is there an alternate world where Soul Sanctum was never invaded? Would our heroes grow up with ordinary lives? Could Matthew have called this place home alongside his parents? Frankly, that doesn't matter, because that's not the story of this game. But the song still gets me to consider those ideas, even knowing how the narrative plays out, and I think that really says something. Now, I hadn't played Golden Sun until last year, and aside from a couple of the songs, I wasn't familiar with its soundtrack. But there is something about this song that really resonates with me. Whenever I listen to an Adept's home, I get this warm feeling of nostalgia. I can almost recall what my senses received during that particular summer I played Golden Sun. While I can fall in love with the game all over again if I play it once more, there's nothing that can take me to the feeling of that initial experience like this song. Of course, no Golden Sun music list would be complete without the series' most iconic song to be represented. It's of course none other than the main overture, and you can expect it to appear in one form or another throughout the 3 games. But you simply can't beat the classic title theme arrangement. It just shouts this feeling of adventure. There's a triumphant epicness, but also a charming humility. It perfectly captures the many moods players will hopefully experience for themselves. It's one of those songs that gets me excited and makes me want to jump back into Weird when I hear it once again. Although whenever I boot up Golden Sun, I certainly don't mind taking a moment to linger on the visual of Mount Aleph, peering up to the shining sun in the sky. Perhaps citing the title theme as the #1 song is a bit vanilla, or to some, even deflating. But I'm just being honest with how I personally feel. This song is Golden Sun to me. It's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of this series, emblematic of everything I expect these games to be. For that reason, it's my favorite song of the series.